Alright, I just connected this Claude AI, the desktop version, the Claude Code AI, directly to my TradingView charts. Now, what it does, it gives me a real trade analysis based on the indicators which I have on my chart here, uh, telling me exactly what to watch, and basically it's reading the chart for you in simple terms and putting the context out there for you. Now, a few things you need, and I saw a video on Twitter recently, and there have been a couple of videos on YouTube around what needs to be done. But when I followed those steps, the couple of pieces were missing to the puzzle. So what I've done in my section is I try to cover those. Primarily, there are two pieces to this. First, you would need a TradingView MCP. Again, you don't need to write any of that. There is a script for that uh, available on this GitHub link, which basically shows how the TradingView MCP can be used. If you just simply go into this one-stop, one-shot setup code and copy that into the Claude, then it basically try to merge Claude code and the TradingView app. Now, before we go into that, uh, look, there is nothing, no other API needed, no other API keys or anything is needed, no paid data feeds or any of those sort of things needed. What you basically need is a desktop version of TradingView app and a Claude AI installed version as well. So you can simply download Claude AI by googling Claude AI download. Just select one for Windows or Mac. Based on that, you can download it. Now, generally when you go Claude, if you go into a browser, it takes you to the chat window of the Claude. Uh, Claude AI. So it takes you to here, Claude web interface. What you need for the purpose of this integration is primarily the Claude desktop agent, which you can again download very simply. It gives you similar sort of option. If I move the mouse over here, you see you got chat, you got co-work, and you got code. Code is what we are focusing on. Now, first thing first, if I go back to my this script, you copy it and go back into this chat window. For the purpose of this video, I'll go into a new session and then paste that script which I copied out from portal. When you click enter, it tries to run few things. You'll be able to see what it's doing, all of those steps here. In the end, I had some errors in the middle. If you can see, it started giving me error. What I basically did, I took a snapshot of those errors and go back into my Claude chat AI and then ask him what needs to be fixed, what needs to be done, all of that. For example, if I show you some of the previous chats I was doing, you see, I said, I'm getting following error. That was the error which I received from the coding window. I put that into the Claude AI and it gives you that file path is wrong. So change the file path. So you'll see that the main idea is you just got to use the TradingView desktop app and the Claude. Once those two start talking, the overall process becomes really simple. Again, put it in the chat. I'm happy to guide you through the steps. Now, in my case, I certainly have a paid subscription of Claude AI as well. I don't know whether the free version does it matter or not, but what I have noticed is in this process, it's quite token consuming. Now, just to give you an idea, just to have this whole setup working, I consume 32,000 tokens just to make this working. I haven't uh, validated any chart. I haven't figured out what needs to be done in a real-time trading window, but this is purely based on just the setup. Roughly that many tokens have been consumed. So I could see that this is quite expensive, not as cost effective. But again, if the plan is to make things automated for you, the plan is um, you know simplifying the reading of the chart when it's happening in real time, then I think it's worth paying $30-40 a month so that you have subscription. I do have a paid subscription, but yeah, I'll see what happens when I reach that limit of the token. Now, once I'll go to the latest one. All right, so once everything is talking and working, now let me change the chart here to, I'll go MRL. So, on the left it's a 4-hour chart, and let me, so I have this trade guard indicator, which also I created in Pine script. Now at the moment that indicator is currently running. So if I switch it off, that's how the chart looks cleanly. I'll show you both options when there is no indicator on the chart, and if I put the prompt in terms of this, analyze the current setup, and I go port type here and see. So what it's basically doing is reading the chart on the left and trying to analyze and give me the information if there is anything worth looking in any setup here. You might have to have a couple of prompts allowed through that process. I'm sure there is a way to overpass that as well, but now this is exactly what it's doing. It's pulling the data from the chart and give you its view, the volume, the candle, the the flow, the EMA, the what's all of there on the chart window. Now again, one thing I've learned that this does not do a real-time view. Well, I have to try this tonight, but for now it's a passive flow. It's basically uh, trying to read the current chart and give you the information so that it's easy to understand. Now, while it's happening, just to give you an idea, when you make the TradingView and the Claude AI talk to each other, make sure you restart both TradingView app as well as the Claude AI app, just so that the connection is reset. When it works, when it's all connected, that's how your output should look. That's what it says. TradingView MP server is still not connected. To fully restart, close the Claude, and then do it again. So you'll get messages like that on the screen to follow the prompts. So yeah, that's a key point. All right, look, it's starting to read indicators. Blah blah blah. Our trending trade guard appears to be on different plane. Blah blah blah. Indicators are responding. All right, see, this is what it says. What the data shows. It says price structure last 24-hour window. Blah blah blah. That's the high. That's the low. Chart shows a very sharp V recovery. Volume stack 90% full. So that's what it got. It does. Now, let's say if I go back and enable the trade guard, which is basically my Pine script, uh, and now try to do the trend chart analysis again. Don't worry about what I have on the left. Again, you are free to use this indicator. It's free, open source on TradingView. You go to just indicators. Yeah, indicators. You go trade guard. You'll be able to see trade guard. That's the one. Just make sure you use that one. The idea is indicator basically, find out liquidity sweep, find out orbs, find out the patterns, find out any, you know, this the green one. Just to give you an idea, this green one basically shows out of my 10 confluence which I use for an A plus setup, 9 are meeting the criteria. It's a positive confluence setup. It's worth taking the shot. So that's what it's doing. All right, look at this on the right hand side. What's Claude doing? See, it has no trade right now, but strong setup building for tomorrow. It's an uptrend. It's basically reading this window from the right, from the here. Your indicator fire call, blah, blah, blah. Key levels right now. What to watch tomorrow? Price is calling just above the VWAP. This is basically a monthly VWAP. After volatile sweep and recover, bull setup tomorrow. If it opens above 242, holding 285 call is a worth. No trade for now. That's just saying 2 p.m. I have an indicator on the script which is basically saying if you are doing 0 DTE past 2 p.m., don't do 0 DTE. It's decaying your PIRA. So this is let's do one more for QQQ. Oops, QQQ. I'm going to change this to 15 minutes, and I'll say analyze the chart one more time. I certainly think it's a powerful integration. Now, whether that can be leveraged during the live trading session, not sure. This is what I think we need to try. But yeah, I and let's see how many more tokens I have consumed since then. Oh wow, look, that's expensive. That between 35 or 42 to 63 just for reading 2 charts. So pretty much if I read 10 charts, we are we are out of, or maybe 20 charts, we are out of all these tokens. And then you have to pay. Whereas if I just simply write a Pine script and put it on the chart, yes, you gotta read it, you gotta imply it, you gotta understand and pull the trigger or click the mouse. But here, I think it's useful when you are not monitoring the screen, and this, you put that prompt that analyze the chart and then you walk away. And then on the phone or mobile, if you're away, it basically give you the summary of what to look out for. So, on your on your screen, it more looks like you're reading a context versus reading a chart. If it's easier that way, yes. Look, it says for the QQQ 15 minute, it's basically saying all of that summarized, and we're saying no trade, confidence zero, regime is 0 or 6. So regime is basically moving from calls to puts or puts to calls in your favor, whichever biased you are on the day. The squeeze is on is the only interesting thing. Sweep up, watch London open tomorrow, bias is already blah blah blah. So it is reading the chart as it's expected. Now, whether you are in live trading session for a 5 minute, 15 minute, 1 minute window, what it does is I think worth looking at. But for now, yeah, that's what I wanted to cover in this video. It is it is to show you that there is TradingView MCP available, which is on that GitHub link that allows you to connect the two apps, the Claude AI coding app and the TradingView app. Now it's actually reading my indicators. It sees all of them. It's telling me the exact levels to watch tomorrow. Uh, but yeah, I'll keep you guys posted when I get into the next step and see what happens during the live trading session. Thank you for watching.